What do you think? I mean, there's also been so much conversation about Charlie, right? He was like a son to you. You were incredibly close. And watching people say different things about what Charlie believed, was he changing his opinion on Israel? There's all of these things that are out there. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions about Charlie in general?
Well, he certainly wasn't changing his view on Israel because we had a meeting the day before he was murdered with two people in Israel and a guy living here via Zoom. And the whole premise of the meeting was how Charlie wanted to know, how could I better answer questions from college kids on the Israel-Hamas situation? I mean, Charlie was frustrated that some people thought that he had to agree with everything the Israeli government did. Otherwise, he was somehow anti-Semitic. I agree that that's a frustration because even if you agree that the Bible says you ought to bless, the descendants of Abraham, you ought to bless Israel, bless doesn't mean you agree with people on everything.
Right.
If you want to bless your kid, you don't agree with your kid on everything. You tell them the truth and correct them. In fact, that's what love is. Love doesn't mean approval. Love means seeking what's best for the other person according to the will of God, and that requires correction quite a bit. So Charlie was frustrated that some people were saying he's an anti-Semite if he doesn't agree with Israel on everything. The other thing that we talked about quite a bit is the fact that some people will say, well, the current government of Israel is apostate. Why would you support them? Hey, newsflash for you Bible scholars who don't tend to look at the Bible. The entire government of Israel in the Bible was apostate.
Right.
Every single king from the northern kingdom was evil, and only a handful from Judah were following Yahweh. And what did God do? He judged them over and over again. So this idea that, we can't support the current government of Israel because they're apostate would mean we couldn't support any government of Israel because they're apostate. But again, to caveat that, it doesn't mean that we have to agree with everything any government does. God didn't agree with the governments of Israel, even though he appointed them because of their bad behavior. So this idea that he was getting away from Israel is not true. He knew they were a great friend in the region. He knew that they were the only democracy there. He knew that Islam is a great threat in terms of religious freedom and freedom of speech.